It's February 12th, 2015, and I'm having to start another video again because, like I said, it keeps shutting down. So he basically had me down in his basement, and I had told him that specific time that I didn't want to do anything with him that was physical. And so I drank a lot because I thought that he would respect that, and he didn't. And then I started to have a feeling he was doing this thing on the table and doing all kinds of weird things. And I just remember kind of vaguely, because I was so drunk, I remember feeling like there was a camera that he was maybe recording it, because he was kind of getting off on it. And then the strange thing that he did was he then, I mentioned how as a kid we had done these architectural constructions and designs on, these boards and everything. Well, he randomly then went over and got his old architectural structure that he had done when he was a kid, and he said, yeah, I did this, and he showed it to me. It was extremely old, and I said, why are you showing me this? And he said, this is something I did for the TAG program. And I said, what's TAG? And he said, talented and gifted. And it was the same architectural structure that I had worked with a bunch of kids on when I did my own architectural structure project. And when he showed it to me, though, this was like decades later. I didn't remember that I had done that. And I just thought this was really weird that he's showing me this thing from when he's in elementary school or middle school or however old he was. And, it was kind of beat up and everything. It was really old. And the feeling that I got from it is he acted like, how I felt was that he had just disrespected me and raped me, and knowing that I was under the influence, and then he wanted to show me this, it was like his trophy was to show me this architectural thing that he had been upset, and his family had been upset about my, because mine had been actually better. And they had all gotten really mad at me, and that was one of the things that they had beat me up at his house over outside. So it was kind of like he was getting this weird passive-aggressive vendetta against me over something that had occurred decades ago. I mean, he was an adult by the time I was hanging out with him at his house. And when I was at his house, I started to realize this seems really familiar. But I still, I couldn't believe that I just wouldn't have been able to think this is actually this person from back then, because you just don't expect people to try to snow you like that. You don't expect people to hunt you down, stalk you, find out where you're at, try to get you into their car, have a pretend friendship and relationship with you, and then ultimately, feel like they are trying to brag about and pride themselves on how they took advantage of you when and harmed you. When their family had been involved in that for a long time, and then bring up this weird, architectural thing. Like, it was almost like he was kind of showing it to me like, yeah, and this is, and do you remember this? It was just a weird, weird thing to do. So, I didn't process all of that all at once because I was so drunk. I just remembered the things that he did, and then later, after I wasn't drunk, I started to realize a little bit more, and I started to get I had a really bad feeling about that, and I knew that he had raped me because I had told him I didn't want to do anything, and even if we had been in some kind of a relationship a little bit, he still knew, and his actions were just so strange. I felt that, and he made a couple comments about Kate Middleton too, which I thought was really weird. Like, he has me down in his basement, he's doing this weird thing, and then he's bringing up Kate Middleton out of the blue. I mean, I didn't bring her up. I didn't even think about her, and I really didn't know what he was talking about. So, so actually, it was sometime after that I still didn't figure out why I was feeling so weird and bad about the whole situation. I hadn't pieced together all of the past yet, instantly, but because I couldn't imagine that this was the same person as that kid from a long time ago. But I did feel uncomfortable enough to say, I don't think we should see each other anymore. And I said, it's just not working out because, I told you I didn't want to be a physical relationship with you, and that's not what happened. And so then he got kind of paranoid. And then at one point he wanted me to meet him anyway at some place and kept trying to convince me to go out with him. And then finally he said, is it because of such and such? And then he said, I didn't tell you that. I should have told you, but I was charged with some sexual crime or whatever against someone who's, I guess, just slightly underage or something, but I guess it was chalked up as rape. I'm not sure if he was just lying to me, though, because I think he probably figured that he had all his bases covered, and that maybe if I heard that someone else had made a sexual accusation against him, maybe I would jump to that, and then he'd be ready with his little video that maybe made it look like I was just drinking and having fun with him or something, and all of that was consensual. Really don't know what he had up his sleeve, but I know he's not a good person because of what he did and who he was connected to. And then, the fact that my grandpa would have said something about them a long time ago, it's kind of strange as to why he was concerned about them, and yet they were over on his property over there. And my grandpa had something to do with the FBI too, because I saw him inside FBI offices in Washington State, in the Seattle offices. So, and also in Idaho offices. So I'm not quite sure what my grandpa was getting at about him, but he had concerns about them, and he actually acted like he was scared they were going to have something to do with killing him. So anyway, that is what happened with Brian Haines. And for the longest time, all these other things happened to me, like a couple of other rapes occurred, and I knew instantly that these were government people. With him, I didn't think about how, oh yeah, he's connected to government for years. I mean, I didn't think about it. So I was sort of just wanting to believe that he was disrespectful, and it was kind of a weird thing, a weird relationship or something that happened. And I felt really edgy about it, like something wasn't right about it. But I kept saying to myself and saying to others, oh yeah, he's the only one who didn't rape me. And here he was, and I was thinking he was the only one that wasn't connected to the government. And I was wrong. All of them, every single one of them, was connected to the government, which is really proving basically my point about how it's been United States government-sponsored rape and torture of me. And I don't feel like I was ever outside of their radar and scope to be able to even have a normal life. And I did try, and I have tried. And so anyway, that is, I'm sure that I will end this video and then later think of other things that I forgot to say or things that might be important to add. And if I think of anything, I'll add that later. But I did want to finish talking about him and what happened. So basically, it was this thing with Robin Bechtold in high school, and then it was Josh Gatov, and then Brian Haines, and then Robin Bechtold again with his second rape of me, in the other way that he did it. And then after that, the next individuals were the same. It was the same thing. It was people from the past, and who had government families. So I will describe. I'm not sure if my next video will be about that or something to remind me about what Brian Haines did. Another thing was that I saw him in connection with another individual who was connected to government in the same location, which is kind of strange, and I might mention that. And then at some point I probably have to start talking about the assassination attempts, because those were thrown into the mix, my getting assaulted again.